Welcome to our guide on mastering project scope, where we focus on strategies for precision, control, and successful delivery. This opening slide sets the scene, defining boundaries, deliverables, milestones, and constraints so teams know what's in and out of scope from the start, which is the first step toward consistent decision-making and predictable outcomes throughout a project's lifecycle. This slide illustrates the classic triple constraint: time, cost, and scope, with quality at the center, and highlights that scope is the primary lever for balancing project success. The diagram shows how cutting time or cost forces scope reduction or harms quality, while expanding scope increases stakeholder value only when managed. The takeaway is that disciplined scope management keeps the whole triangle in balance. This page walks through structured elicitation and requirement translation, starting with stakeholder analysis, interviews, workshops, and prototypes to surface needs. The visual shows a power interest grid feeding into analysis and synthesis, which helps translate fuzzy desires into specific, measurable requirements. The goal is to convert stakeholder insights into anchored requirements that prevent gold plating and enable successful delivery. Here, we map chaotic raw input into a formal scope baseline by categorizing requirements into functional and non-functional buckets, then prioritizing them using Moscow and weighted scoring. The slide's flowchart shows how prioritized items become smart, verifiable statements, producing a clear scope baseline that teams can estimate, build against, and use to make defensible decisions during execution. This slide defines the scope baseline as an integrated, approved version combining requirements documentation, the work breakdown structure, and the WBS dictionary. The diagram emphasizes time-stamped, configuration-managed records, and formal change control, so the project operates from a single approved source, enabling conscious decisions about additions, deletions, or modifications rather than ad hoc changes. This page explains how to establish a change control board and manage scope changes. The visuals show a CCB authority hierarchy, an impact analysis framework across scope, schedule, cost, and quality, and a traceability matrix linking changes back to original requirements. Approved changes feed prompt communication and stakeholder alignment to prevent silent scope, creep, and protect project integrity. This slide calls out the common masquerades of scope creep: small enhancements, urgent new features, and undocumented assumptions, then highlights warning signs like drifting acceptance criteria and backlog growth. The recommended mitigation is a disciplined change process. Trigger a change request, evaluate impact, approve or reject, and update scope and plans to avoid budget and timeline overruns. To prevent scope creep, this slide proposes 5 practical strategies. Lock requirements with stakeholder sign-off. Use time-boxed iterations to limit expansion. Publish a clear vision statement to guide trade-offs. Educate stakeholders on the triple consequence of changes. And embed a formal exception workflow for any deviations that require explicit evaluation and approval. This page covers validation and acceptance to ensure deliverables meet the approved scope baseline. The validation activities shown: inspections, tests, user acceptance sessions, and traceability audits. Feed verification and a defect management cycle for rework and re-verification. The end goal is formal acceptance, so the customer receives exactly what was promised, and the project can confidently move to closure. Project closure is about securing scope and driving future discipline by obtaining signed acceptance, archiving baselines and records, releasing resources, and conducting lessons learned reviews. The slide outlines how these steps preserve final approvals, store artifacts for future reference, transition deliverables cleanly, and capture insights to improve scope management on subsequent initiatives. This slide highlights tools for leveraging technology in scope control, including requirements, management software for traceability, collaborative whiteboards for prioritization and consensus, automated change logs for audit trails, and integrated dashboards for progress tracking. Together, these tools enable transparent, data-driven decisions that keep the project boundary under continuous, visible control and improve governance. The final slide promotes standardized scope artifacts, stakeholder registers, requirement prioritization matrices, WBS templates, change request forms, acceptance sign-off sheets, and closure reports to accelerate initiation and governance. Standard templates and checklists reduce omissions, speed up scope definition, and embed governance discipline so teams start faster, miss less, and maintain consistent control throughout the project lifecycle.